Before we begin, the name is placed on the top right side of the screen. While the two men panic about breaking two very important prints into many pieces, not having any more of them, the little girl turns weak and falls after seeing such a thing happen, but an adult man catches her looking worried. Meanwhile, the cause of this is the baby tiger. At the Jayador Kingdom, Count Granzius' mansion, a little girl looks out the window at the snow falling, thinking about how she will make a snowman when the snow gets more thick, but gets confused about why she knows these words. She reminds herself about how this has been happening a lot recently, when she suddenly sees a small tiger bleeding in the snow as it drags itself through it, but ends up falling to the ground senseless, which shocks the little girl. She runs out to help the hurt baby tiger by treating its wound, but as she touches it, memories of her old life start to come to her, which makes her scream in pain since she remembers being on the bed, coughing up blood. She realizes that she has been sent to another world and remembers about her life she was just a responsible 30-year-old company employee who helped her juniors out. Though she thinks about how her company managed after she died, she is unable to remember the way she died, except for having fantasy novels as her enjoyment. Among those novels was one named I Love You Eternally, My Wild Rose, which had a main character who was very talented and capable, leading to her making friends with great students of the best academy she joined, to the point she was praised by a sacred beast. The novel had a happy ending with the main character marrying the prince, but the prince's soon-to-be wife was just as strong as the main character and also the villain of the story, whose name was Seraphine Granzius, the company girl that has been sent to this world to be that villain. As she is annoyed to be the villain, she is also stressed about the fact that the white tiger god she is supposed to use against Maribel, the main character of the novel, is now in her hands. Originally, the villain of this novel is to then waste her life in prison while her magic is being taken away, but Seraphine does not want to be the villain. She then looks at the baby tiger that is hurting and crying due to being hurt, but is hesitant to help it by giving it her blood since that would change her connection to it, so she hugs the tiger tightly, singing a poem for the pain to go away, and when she kisses the tiger on its head, he makes a full recovery and asks the girl her name. She tells that she is Seraphine, which he shortens to Sera, and praises her amazing magic excitedly as it got instantly better, but Seraphine cannot believe that this actually worked, thinking she has good luck. The tiger decides to join Seraphine's side since he likes how her magic feels, but she wonders if this will create a bonding moment between her and the tiger, which leads to more question about how her character will change going forward. She nervously asks the tiger if they can be friends, upon which the tiger jumps on her happily calling her a friend, but accidentally scratches her hand and licks her blood. Seraphine thinks to herself about how they both drank each other's body liquids, so it might lead to a much deeper moment, as she stares sharply at the tiger, who appearances confused, but she remembers her past life's sickness and smiles gladly about both of them being okay now. She asks the tiger for its name, which it says is Raudnilfina, and it is the one of the 4 heavenly beasts born from the moon goddess. But as the beast before it passed away, it has taken that place. As a 3-year-old, Seraphine finds it hard to pronounce the tiger's name, so she decides to shorten it to Rue, as the tiger did to her name. Later that day, just after coming out of the bath, Seraphine asks Rue if she can use magic, which it thinks that she already is using fire and wind magic, and since she can see it like this, Seraphine must have high amounts of magic. Then it states that her magical waves are on the same level as it, so they have a contract relationship, while the dad, Isaac, and the brother, Laruza, seem shocked about this as well. Rue is aware that his only source of power is Seraphine right now, but even if it manages to take a lot of magic from her, she would still have enough left over. In this world, people of high levels are needed to take a magical test at the age of 6 to see how good they are at magic, with levels divided into 3 stages: advanced, ordinary, or no magic. And if the person is advanced or ordinary, they have to take part in the magical school, which might lead Seraphine to meet with the main character. She worries that this is just leading to her end in the original story and complains about not wanting to join the school, which Rue tells her not to as it can be her magical teacher, and then they can go on a trip when they turn into grown-ups, claiming happily about how fun it will be. This gets Seraphine thinking about her life as an adventurer with Rue, where she would be able to join groups, complete challenges, and go up in levels. She suddenly gets an idea to join a different school other than the magical energy, so that she does not meet Marbiel, the prince, or anyone of that life, and then Rue suggests her to join the Knights Academy. She excitedly plans her future, how she is going to learn magic as a knight, and then go on journeys with Rue as an adult, only to find Rue falling asleep during all this. After everyone goes to sleep, she thinks to herself about will this loving family of hers decide to cut her off after she fights with Marbiel like in the story, since she also met with Rue, a not so powerful sacred beast. She grabs her cover tightly as she sleeps in between her father and brother, thinking about the painful memories of not only her old life, but all of Seraphine's memories already written in the novel, which came to her after she touched Rue back when it was hurt, making her realize how hurt the original character was because of being left alone by her loved ones. She wakes her father up and tells him that she wants to join the Knights Academy when she grows up, whilst wishing that he does not come to hate her later on. 3 years later, her father asks her again for confirmation if she still wants to go to the Knights Academy, which she firmly agrees to as she has been practicing to become one with her brother all these years. However, she is stressed about how to cheat the test of magical abilities, as the test needs for the person to place their hand on a print, and if they gave magical powers, their level will show up in the air. Her father Isaac worries that Seraphine has a lot of magical energy, so she definitely will be selected to go to the magical school, and asks her if it is really okay to let Rue take care of this, who happily reassures them that he can do it. Rue then uses physical attacks to destroy every print the testers had so that Seraphine does not get a chance to take it. But as no one was prepared for this to happen, Seraphine passed out, while her dad carries her in between the panic of the testing people. Since only people with high magical powers can see Rue, Seraphine calls this an illusion. But Rue just tells her that she would have had to use magic in front of these people, so better to just destroy the prince. She hesitatingly agrees, but realizes that the things they have broken must be so important, and there were 2 of them even, so she asks her father about what to do as she has tears in her eyes. Isaac then puts up an act that this was all the testers' fault and scares them using his powers and level, which even works on Seraphine. The testers then just admit to her not having any powers as they get scared to guess if she had some secret power to her that caused all of this to happen, and give her the certificate of no magic power, which comes to Seraphine as sort of boring. While she stares at her certification, Isaac tells her that the second prince is getting engaged to a young lady early in the summer, which alerts Seraphine as she realizes how the story is changing since she was originally supposed to be engaged to him from the start. She realizes that she was only chosen to be his soon-to-be wife in the original story only because of her advanced level magic powers, and so now she is able to go away from that path since she got the no magic certificate. She grips her certificate more tightly as she prepares herself to become an adventurer instead of the villain of this story, and focuses on the test of the Knights Academy, which they make every 11-year-old take that involves actual working skills and writing abilities. Another dream comes to Seraphine as she sleeps about the memories of the original Seraphine's past memories, where she was picked up by the prince during a war with their neighbor country. The prince came to her as she was on her knees in the battlefield after war had destroyed the land, and calls her excellent, a wild rose he will love forever. He tells her to surrender and join his side, but she wakes up right after that moment, surprised, as the sun shines in her room through the window, and the sound of birds chirping enters. Seraphine gets up and thinks about how the original her got kicked out her own home, even though she was a great help to them in the military due to being very strong in magical powers, because the main character Marbiel chose to spread her peace talks everywhere. While she is going on about the events that have already happened in the original story, her father Isaac knocks on the door, telling her that her grandmother is here to see her, which surprises Seraphine as she was lost in deep thought. Later, Seraphione and her grandmother go against each other in a sword fight, attacking each other with strong strikes and quick movements. They both are covered in armor to protect themselves, so there is no worry of actually hurting from this. However, as soon as Seraphione goes for a strong swing at her grandmother, she picks up on it and quickly returns a strike to Seraphione, calling her too innocent for battle, while she falls to the ground in a dizzy state. During their break, Seraphione and Rue enjoy their lunch outside on a picnic mat, while her father Isaac thanks her grandmother for teaching her the way of the sword. He claims that for Seraphione to get into the Knights Academy, she needs to learn more than just using daggers, which her brother teaches her, though grandmother tells him that the technique of daggers was something she taught her daughter, which Isaac agrees to, worried he might have offended her. Regardless, grandmother tells Isaac that if Seraphione is going on an adventure with Rue, then she will teach her everything she knows. The grandmother looks at Seraphione with determination, and thinks about how one of the 4 heavenly beasts, the Western Guardian Rue, and even her daughter Liliphione gave her life for Seraphione during the birth, and plans to let Seraphione learn the dagger techniques because she made her grandmother forgive the Granzius household for letting her daughter die, and the fact she is a very powerful magic user, chosen by a sacred beast. Seraphione then looks back and calls out to her grandmother with stars in her eyes, melting her heart with kindness as she accepts the little girl and her small little creature as her master, since her family Toland puts their trust into warriors with great ability. They then start to continue the training, while the grandmother stops herself to be fully into the Granzius family yet. Meanwhile, the Magical Academy announced a magical tournament for all of its students. Larosa, Seraphione's big brother, is participating in that tournament, and is the only first year to do so amongst so many fifth years. Seraphione is excited to see him fight someone other than family, but is worried that her magical powers may get caught, so she must change her looks so that she can go, while she gets head pats from her brother and their father Isaac praising Larosa. However, her father Isaac tells her to go without a problem since hiding her for long is more risky than just going out once in a while, which makes Seraphione happy and surprised at the same time, though her grandma finds this interesting. Larosa, on the other hand, tells Seraphione to dress as normal as possible, which makes her think that he wants to hide her boring self from people, but the real reason is to not let other boys near her. As she reaches the Magical Academy, Seraphione realizes that this was the place where it all started to go bad for the original character, as the Magical Academy students were hired to fight in the war, and so did Seraphione in the novel. But it was the sweet words of Marbiel that caused everything to go wrong for her, even though she was just doing her duty. But that did not matter, as people still called out Seraphione as a heartless person who kills people easily with a care in the world, leading her to sell herself to the neighbor country in the war, making her feel angry. She is then called by her father Isaac, and so reacts shockingly since she was again deep in thought. And while she makes up an excuse to explain where she was in her mind, she thinks to herself that she needs to be careful about the memories of the novel and her actual memories. She wakes herself up by slapping her face, which makes Rue ask if she is okay, and then decides to not worry about the novel self of her as things are different now, as she walks upstairs of a dark place. She reaches the arena where it is all bright and a lot of people, with the students fighting each other in 1 versus 1, and one of them fires a fireball at the other, causing a big smoke screen. However, Larosa on the facing end easily survives that attack and freezes the fire using student in place using big ice crystals and wins the fight looking cool, causing the girls in the crowd to scream in love. Seraphione asks her father Isaac if using special words before a magic attack is important since she does not have to do it, which he and the grandmother denies, saying that it is something only the academy teaches as they want peace in the world. But there is no actual time in a real battle to speak, and this is why peace can never last more than 50 years. Adding to this, she explains why the Prince Gyn was let to join the Magical Academy, as the announcement of his arrival onto the stage is heard. Seeing his face, Seraphione remembers him from the original character's memories, as her father Isaac complains about a person from Gale being a part of a magical academy in Jayador, calling the royal family weak. Meanwhile, Seraphione remembers the horrible memories of her from the novel, about how she was picked up by this very prince after the second Prince Cardnox threw her away as his soon-to-be wife, only to be used again with no romance, love, or care between them. But he gave her one thing that cannot be replaced or forgotten, and while she is finishing her thoughts, Rue calls out to her, saying how her heartbeats are getting faster. She holds her heart as she is confused about what path to follow from not attending the academy or meeting the prince, and asks Rue if he, as his gender was confirmed by the grandmother, would really go on an adventure with her, when he starts to give her his magical power, showing that they both are really good partners and will always be together. This makes Seraphione very happy, and then the announcer presents Laruza as the Gale's prince's opponent. Her father Isaac apologizes to Seraphione before he uses magic to alert Laruza of a change in plans, as defeating a neighboring country's prince will just blacklist him from there, and so the battle begins. However, the magic powers that the prince use easily defeat Laruza, who tries a lot of creative ways to attack the prince, but he simply counters them all, trapping Laruza in a rope-like magic, making him surrender the match. He drops down to one knee as the battle ends, but instead of being made fun of, he gets cheers and praises by the crowd for being able to put up with the prince. As Laruza sees his family in the crowd, he jumps over to them and apologizes to Seraphione for not winning, even though he promised her that he will. But she denies it, saying that he still looked cook, though he needs to spend his next break time with her, which he happily accepts as he picks her up and spins her around. While they enjoy this moment, the prince jumps over to their side as well and complains to Laruza that he went easy in the battle. But what is even more interesting is the little girl he is playing with and demands her name. Seraphione bows down respectfully in front of him and tells him her name and the family's name. He stares at her and orders her to reveal the hidden beast on her shoulder, which surprises Seraphione since Rue is hidden under 3 different spells, and he manages to catch even that. However, she tries to play dumb and asks what the prince means by that question, since she is a magic powerless girl to other people, which the prince finds interesting enough to offer her a place by his side in his country, saying that her talents are wasted here, which shocks Seraphione as the same event as the original novel is repeating, just in another place and time. As she hears the same words as the original story had, she stops and thinks about why is this happening, when people in the crowd start to wonder why the prince is talking to such a girl, when one of them tells them that this is the no-magic girl from the Granzius household, which brings Eve back to reality. As she looks around in worry and annoyance, the prince gets more curious about her no-magic act and her ability to control her magic powers, making him want her more than ever. But her father Isaac comes in between them, telling the prince that his daughter is only 6 years old with no great talent whatsoever. Plus, she spends her time quietly at home. As Isaac asks the prince to stop with his jokes about taking Seraphione, the prince replies saying who out of them is the one joking right now that even a person from the Toland is helping them in this, while grandmother hides her face behind her fan. The prince then makes a tight fist with his hand, smiling cleverly, makes a situation to make them reveal the truth, by bringing his own sacred beast of the south on his hand, which is a burning firebird, to see how many people can actually see it. While Seraphione is surprised to see it, her father also recognizes it, then half of the crowd, which divides them into 2 groups, one that can see the sacred beast and the others who cannot. As people talk to each other about what just happened, the prince shows his disappointment, but Rue warns Seraphione that they cannot keep up the act anymore, as the other sacred beast is now here. So he decides to come out but creates a fake image first that does not let other people see them, but the prince gets it instantly. Seraphione figures that she is not as confident as the prince to just reveal her secrets like this, so when they get into the illusion, she tells Rue that he can come out now, which he understands and turns into a full adult tiger in front of her and the prince. While they come face to face, the sacred beast of the south on the prince's shoulder asks Rue if the beast before him, Megan, passed away, which Rue confirms, and so the prince figures out that Rue and Seraphione has bond between them, while he tells that he has subjection with his sacred beast when asked about it by Seraphione, as the beast follows his every command. Though Seraphione knew that bond and subjection are different, she sees that the prince does not treat the sacred beast unfairly and how beautiful it is, which makes the sacred beast laugh a little as she says that she likes the prince to listen to his commands, while the prince tries to stop her from embarrassing him, calling the firebird Ice. Seraphione gets shocked seeing the prince blush, but he quickly recovers from the embarrassment and gets back on track, asking the sacred beast of the west to come to his side, which makes Seraphione think he just wants the sacred beasts. However, Seraphione rejects his offer, saying that she did find it pleasant to be considered by Her Majesty as someone useful, but she is very happy with where she is right now, and so she would not be able to stay the same if she were to leave, while giving off a very happy smile. The prince, a little disappointed, asks Seraphione why she keeps calling him Your Highness, which she replies to saying that she does not see anyone else than him reaching that place, making him feel pleasantly surprised by that remark. He then decides to give Seraphione 10 years to live her life however she wants, but when she turns 16, he is going to come and take her away with him, making her the imperial queen, and tells her to be prepared, which leaves Seraphione speechless. But as she takes it all in, she starts to nervously sweat thinking about such a strange development in the story, as in the original this prince treated her like trash and threw her away when he was done with her, but here he wants to marry her even though their status and situations are so different. But while they both share this conversation, La Rosa comes from behind with a very dark feel to him, telling the prince to face his magic power right now without him holding back, because the prince said that he will take Seraphione away, while she tries to hold her brother back. She turns back at her father and asks him to stop La Rosa, but even him and their grandmother are ready to attack the prince in anger, which makes Seraphione think that they are preparing for war. However, the prince laughs out loud, seeing this reaction and being proud of himself for choosing such an energetic wife. Seraphione looks at him and shows annoyance for him enjoying this, while also thinking how cute the prince is, but then he is called back by someone so that they can start the second match for the prince. But as he prepares to leave, he takes of his glove, grabs Seraphione's hand, and kisses it very gently, and while smiling, says that he finds it comfortable and nice to be next to someone with no magic like her, and leaves Seraphione, who is still annoyed by this cheesy act. As he leaves for real, Seraphione's family runs to her asking if she is okay as she does a face palm. She tells them that she would like to go home as she is tired. Right before they step into the carriage to leave for home, Rue reminds Seraphione about the lunch boxes they brought with themselves that they forgot back in the stands, so she quickly runs to go and grab them, but when she reaches the hall of the Magical Academy, she sees a student of high status standing there and wonders if it is okay to run past him, when that student looks back at her and stops her from running. He looks at her and asks her about the tiger on her shoulder, which surprises Seraphione again as she realizes that not only Prince Gyn can see him, but this student can also see Rue very clearly. He again questions about the tiger when Seraphione tries to play dumb, but she just runs away saying that this little child is her friend, but the student smiles seeing her run, knowing she was putting up an act. She then quickly returns to the carriage and slams open the door to get in. Seeing her all exhausted and taking big breaths, her father Isaac asks her what is wrong, to which she replies saying that Rue was found out again by someone other than the Prince Gyn, and now she is tired of finding out new characters for today at least, while grabbing her head in pain. While she is cheerfully getting ready for another day in this book, she is informed by her father Isaac about the person she met at the end of her day at the magical school. This person was the very prince of their own country, and his name was Zephyr. This information comes as a surprise to Seraphione because in the original story, she was the soon-to-be wife of the second Prince Cardinox, and a character named Zephyr was never mentioned in the novel. Nevertheless, due to the fact that Crown Prince Zephyr is the son of a companion of the king and is weaker than usual, the actual successor to the throne is Cardnox, the son of the queen, who is both intelligent in writing and skilled in fighting. She asks her father Isaac about why she knows so little about the Crown Prince Zephyr, and Isaac responds by telling her that he read somewhere about his weak self that his appearance is that of a sick person, and that even talking about him in a positive way is enough for you to be killed by the Queen and King Cardnox. And what's even worse is that he does not even have a single keeper with him, which causes Seraphione to be concerned that even siding with him will get you permanently removed from this world. The Crown Prince Zephyr, on the other hand, is able to see Rue, which indicates that he possesses a sufficient amount of magical energy in addition to the fact that he appears to be very wise and intelligent. While the grandmother is taking in the fresh air from the outside through her enormous window and letting birds fly off her hands, Eve asks the grandmother if the ability of the Crown Prince Zephyr will be revealed if he competes in the tournament that is being held at the Magical Academy. The grandmother agrees to the question. A half a year ago, Zephyr's eye color changed, and he began studying magic with his full focus. The grandmother then tells them that one of her ninjas told her that Zephyr will win the tournament. She also tells them that it was just a half a year ago that he was just an ordinary student in his second year. Because of the unpredictability of this new development, even the queen is keeping a close eye on both of her sons and waiting to find out who the true king turns out to be. While Seraphione is perplexed as to how a ninja could possibly acquire such a large amount of information, Rue brings to her attention the fact that she had her magical power test approximately half a year ago. However, she makes an effort to deny this, claiming that they are not connected to this matter. Despite this, Seraphione believes that this is a positive development for her because there is now a new character in this story who is the Crown Prince. This character did not appear in the first story, and she is able to take advantage of the fact that she is familiar with the adversary. During the time that she is making a clever face, her father Isaac is calmly sipping tea. At the same time, they are making preparations to allow her brother Lariza to keep an eye on the prince. In spite of their desire to move in a manner that will prevent their family from being drawn into the conflict, they immediately shift their focus to the issue of Prince Gyn's proposal to Seraphione, which causes her father Isaac to become angry once more. Seraphione is the only one who is aware of the true motivation behind that proposal, which is for Gyn to acquire Rue. For the time being, she and her grandmother simply dismiss it as a comedic situation. She plays it down by saying that the member of a royal family just made a joke about it because she is a child and they ought to forgive him for his status. She is anxiously waiting to get out of this situation. When her father Isaac asks her if she truly does not intend to go to his side, she reassures him by stating that she has the desire to become an adventurer and to return to her father at some point in the future, but not to a grown man who is fond of children. When she asks her father to wait for her when she leaves, her father Isaac's eyes well up with tears, and the two of them embrace each other tightly, sharing the love that they have for each other as father and daughter. However, the Prince Gyn actually sent a formal proposal to the Granzius household, which caused a great deal of panic throughout the neighborhood. Everyone in the neighborhood began talking about a girl who did not possess any magical powers marrying a prince from another country, which caused Seraphione to become increasingly irritated. At the house, while sitting face to face with a witness present, Prince Gyn asserts in a calm manner that he does not mind her having no magic level, and that Jayador will let her go that much easier. In addition, he states that the marriage is a bond marriage that will bring the two countries closer together. As a result of her irritation with his shameless manner of speech, she decides to reject him once more, this time in front of a witness who is taken aback by the reaction. During the time that the witness is attempting to persuade Seraphione to enter into this marriage by offering her candies as a form of bribery due to the fact that she is still a young girl, she keeps making complaints here and there and rejecting everything that is offered to her because she desired to lead a quiet life, but this circumstance is making it difficult for her to do so. In the meantime, her father Isaac is sitting there in a well-mannered pose, giving off a very dark feel to the room, which scares the witness. Isaac completely dismisses the idea of allowing Seraphine, her wife's last gift to him, to go and marry a prince from another country. He is so adamant about this that he is willing to give up his position, money, fame, and even land in order to do so. Because of this, the witness becomes anxious, and he leaves without achieving his goal. Even after a few days have passed, Prince Gyn continues to send numerous invitations for dates to Seraphine. However, she continues to decline these invitations because she does not wish to leave her home and her family. During her furious movements around the house, she expresses her gratitude to the prince for keeping her secrets hidden from the rest of the world, but makes it clear that she does not intend to get married at this time. Even Rue joins in, stating that he does not want to live with Ice, which means that she is unable to marry the prince. However, as they both discuss the same thing, she notices Ice eating while sitting at the food table in her room, which shocks both her and Rue. They call Ice out for sneaking into her room, despite the fact that there were a variety of traps all around her room. Ice responds by telling them that the traps are not effective against a heavenly beast like her. Rue expresses his displeasure with her eating their snacks, stating that there is not enough for the three of them. Ice, however, tries to reassure him by stating that her sole purpose in being there is to ensure that everything goes according to plan. She corrects him by saying that the prince actually cares because even after such rejections, they did not force any action and only sent Ice to check on Seraphine's health, even though he could not make it himself. Rue screams at her, saying that Prince Gyn is just using her subjection at this point. However, she corrects him by saying that the prince actually cares. As a result, Ice departs, claiming that she will convey to Prince Gyn the information that Seraphine is in good health, but she also assures them that she will return, which causes Rue to become irritated. Ice makes a remark about how delicious the ice cream was before she leaves, and she anticipates that they will prepare it for her when she returns again. However, Rue becomes enraged and decides to throw her out by herself the next time she shows up, and Ice flies into the night sky as she does so. As a result, Ice became a frequent visitor to their home, which prompted Seraphine to inquire about the ease with which they are able to alter their sizes. Rue responded by stating that they are able to do so, and that if they change their size, they will receive cake, which Seraphine considers to be a devilish act.